boop boppy boop. Hey everyone, Mherex here, bringing you another video. I am live on Twitch with my Twitchites, and we've been talking about the Prizewall basically for the last hour and 40 minutes. And this is gonna be a Prizewall breakdown video. I don't do these super often anymore, mainly because a lot of times, you know, you don't have enough currency to have a lot of choices. From the sounds of it in chat, most people in chat are ending up somewhere between 6,000 and 25,000 currency, I would say, with most people hitting the 10K mark. So long story short, I think you're going to have options. I want to say a couple things to start off. First, this is all just my opinion. At the end of the day, you know your roster way better than I do, and you care about it more. So take everything with a grain of salt. Second, I lost my train of thought and now have no idea what I was going to say. Oh, now I remember. So this is a pet peeve of mine. Back in the day, it used to be always everyone would say you take the card if you can. 100% agree back in the day you take the card if you could. That was before shards. That was before plates. That was before straps. So it was pretty simple. You get a chance at the card, you take the card. It was the card or resources. Kind of a no-brainer. Now you have shards. So if 100 shards get you CM Punk for 5K, but keeps you from getting the Aussie plate, I think that's dumb, personally. If you're one of those people that is constantly saying, I don't have the right plates to run people, that's why you don't. So you have a chance to get good plates if you get to 10K, 15K, 20K, 6K, and you're not taking them, just remember that's on you. The shelf life on most cards is short. If you're lucky, you get 6 months out of someone. That's like really good. And once in a blue moon, you get a year out of them. But take, for example, Steph plate, the Queen's Tiara here. Steph has been in the game, what, 3 years now, guys? At least 2 years. If you're this far into the game and you still don't have a Queen's Tiara, you need to wake up and smell the coffee. You're not getting one with what you're doing, and you never get one. So that's kind of on you. And what I'm getting at is at gold, you need this stuff to run people properly. So if you're like, oh, I don't have RK Bro, but I really want him, he's kind of sort of worthless. And you're spending 8K currency just to get him? Why? He's at least a good coach, but you've lived with him for this long, and if you're somewhat close to shard recruiting him, even remotely, I can't see doing that over, you know, taking a top flight plate. Absolute horrid value. Under no circumstance would I spend 6,000 ever to recruit these, or even kind of get close to them. They're both completely irrelevant. Roman's trainers at least is good, at least, but if you're 100 away, save your currency. You're going to get them eventually. None of them are the only game changer here. She's easily the best lady technician by far. And look at the value, 100 shards for 300. So I could see this. Also, if you're close to Braun, he's a lot of people's best powerhouse. So I could see that. Those two are the only ones, really. Goldberg was like a 0 shard release, so you're nowhere near. That's just throwing your currency away. But Bianca is literally worse than Raquel. And Roman is not even close to a top flight powerhouse at gold. He can do really good things at silver, but even still, you're 100 away. Again, back to the point, if you don't have good plates, this is why. You'll eventually get the character. You may not get another shot at these plates. So that's kind of the housekeeping. And now let's get into the breakdown. I think there's levels, right? I think a lot of people, if you get to 10K currency, you're going to have choices. What do I do, Mherex, if I get to 10K currency? I think it's theoretically, it's a pretty easy choice for the most part, because everyone should have Aussie. If you play a lot, you'll have Aussie at gold. And in most cases, Aussie's going to be the best trickster on your roster. This plate, if you watched my preview video on Aussie, is almost identical in damage output to the Brutus Barber Shears. So if you watch that and you compare how Aussie did with the Barber Shears versus how Ozzy did with the 2 free-to-play plates I used. That would be your difference, and you can decide. I think it's kind of a no-brainer for most people. If you're going all in on Ozzy and you get to the 10K mark, I think the Ozzy plate's a really good pick. However, it's really only very good on 3 people: Ozzy, Brutus, and Powerhouse KO. If you haven't seen the video I did this morning on Powerhouse KO with it, recommend watching. Now, the Tiara, a lot of people use multiply gems and also make black gems. So right away, you can buff a lot of people with the Tiara. Bradshaw, Acolyte Bradshaw comes to mind if you have the moment, which is also in the midweek prize wall. You got a good gem damage strap. You can do that on Bradshaw and gain a decent amount on his multiply move. And there's like a bunch of others. I use one on Ali. You can use it on Clubber Lang. You can use it on Hogan. There's just a lot of people it works on. Anyway, it adds 50% when you make multiply gems. It's 50% more damage, so it's just going to help put you over the top in some cases. So if you're somebody, you don't have a Tiara and you have targets for it, I think it's a solid choice. But I do think at 10K, I'm taking the Ozzy plate. The next kind of question becomes the 15K level. Nightmare plate is really good. I will say the Nightmare plate is in the feud bags that are also in the Talent Up. Final milestone of Talent Up, so you do have a chance to get this from feud, and you have a chance to get this from Talent Up. But it's not a high chance. Oh, also this plate, just disregard. It's trash. This is a waste of 10,000 currency, so forget this one. So then your choice would become, if you get to 15,000, maybe you're at like 16. Do you take an Ozzy and a Tiara, or do you take a Nightmare plate? I can't answer that for you, but Nightmare plate I love on my Showboat Charlotte. Showboat Charlotte with gear, 60% strap, Nightmare plate kind of dominates and is super fast. That's my #1 spot for it. I think in that scenario, I prefer her like speed-wise over a ton. So if that's something like you can replicate with their gears, you may consider that. It's also really good on Ministry of Darkness Taker. So you can run a double or triple purple build with Taker and the Nightmare plate. We were doing it earlier. He also uses the Acolyte moment. And long story short, if you have Sherry, 50% strap, Nightmare plate, Acolyte moment, Taker can hit for about, what did we say, Sean? Was it like 60 million-ish with 2 moves? And it's also incredible on Hall of Fame Macho. It's incredible on Shotzi. So those are 2 other really strong places for it. This adds 100% gem damage to your multiply people. You can use it on CM Punk because he's breaking generic gems, right? He's doing random multiply gems. So it's good on somebody like CM Punk who's blowing up a lot of multiplies. It just makes the yellows hit harder. So that's an option there, right? Just a lot of options with the Nightmare plate, which is good. It's breakfast. You have options. Then I think you get to another level where you get to 20K. Now you have another really tough choice. Do you take the Ozzy plate, the Queen's Tiara, and maybe one of these that you're missing? That's 3 plates you don't have potentially, right? Or do you take the Jade plate? This is currently a really tough choice for me. I have 1 Jade plate. It lives on Charlotte, just like the Nightmare plate does, to just buff her that much more. It's incredible on Tech Razor. Really, really good on Tech Razor. In fact, you can get away without his gear if you have the moment in this plate and a decent strap. It's also really good on CM Punk. Again, the generic gems, so really good on him. It's good on Jade herself. I'm gonna miss a bunch of people. Waller's triple green set, it's great. Oh, Zombie Sammy, it's huge on. If you have Roxanne and run his multiply build, you can use this, and you don't need a Piper plate, so it can potentially free up a Piper plate. In fact, that is likely what I would do with my second one. And it would free up a Piper plate, which is a great plate. So that could be a tough choice if you get to 20K. You get to 25K, you're at another choice. You could take the Ozzy plate and a Nightmare plate, for example. The Braid plate is okay. There's not a lot of great X-Break people. So I kind of don't like the value on that necessarily compared to, say, getting your first Aussie and then having a Nightmare plate, which has a lot of spots you can land, right? I think I would do that before I take a braid plate. I have one braid plate, full disclosure. And even if I didn't, I think I would take the combo of the Nightmare and the Aussie plate. You could also do something like maybe you're at like 26K and then you could take a Jade plate and a Tiara if you don't have one. Basically, there's kind of no right answer. Personally, if I'm rating plates, right, I feel like there's a lot of spots for these three to land. So I feel like these three in general are really safe picks, right? You will potentially be able to use them, and long term, anything that's adding 100% gem damage is really, really good. 100% is generally really good. Less than that, not quite as good, obviously, but still okay. So, and then you get to the 32K level. And this level is really tricky. All three of these plates are great. All three have people they are very good on. But if you got to 32K, you could get a Jade plate and an Aussie plate. Would that be better than just an LA Knight plate? Just a Roman plate? Just a Tiffy plate? Honestly, I don't have the right answer for your roster. I really want an LA Knight plate because I have a Tiffy plate and it adds 300% gem damage. We were just talking about 100 being a lot. 300 is a lot. It also makes Kyrie absolutely insane. Tiffy plate, if I didn't have one, at some point they are going to release a character that is completely broken with this. There's just it's going to happen. I think at some point something's going to get missed and it's going to be like Regal with the Piper plate at some point. That's a guess though. So I feel like I might take that, but just keep in mind most of the time you're only going to be able to activate one purple move, or at best two. Rarely will you ever be able to do three. Tiffy's a rare exception because it doesn't activate on the time you do the move. So it's most of the time probably going to be a 250% buff or a 500% most of the time. Where this would be ridiculous would be on someone with multiplies or someone with a buff to blue gem, percentage buff with purple moves. That's what you want to look for when you're thinking about people this would be amazing on. This is obviously blue multiplies for this one. And Roman's Glasses is actually really interesting because it's universal gem damage. And if somebody's making 7 cross breaks, they're probably blowing up the board. So that's 100% to all color gems. I asked the chat this question, and most people said the Tiffy plate. And a couple said the Shades of Roman plate. Their big one was Hall of Fame Andre with drip. They're saying like 80 to 100 million without gear in the drip. It's also really good on Ministry of Darkness Taker, triple purple. I could see him going over 70 million with this in a Nightmare plate. Just clicking 3 moves, completely Mherex proof. So those come to mind immediately. It's actually terrible on Braun. You'd think Braun, Powerhouse Braun, it would be great. His original setup with the red gem chucking plate and the other one is great. So there's that. I don't know. It's really tough to say. I don't know that I can say which one I would pick for sure. There's an outside shot I'll get to 32K. I kind of really want the Roman plate, but I also really want the LA plate. So I don't know what I would pick. Which brings me to this. This is a complete and total waste of 20K. Please don't do this. It only ever works on Aussie, and you would be crushed if you spent 20K to get one of those abilities. And honestly, 40% gem damage is not that great. Don't do this. This is like throwing your currency away. Please don't do that. And as much as I hate to say this because I love Aussie, if for some reason I got to 40K currency, I cannot imagine taking his gear over all the shopping you could do on this Prizewall to get all of these plates that work on a ton of people. So I guess basically what I'm getting at in review, most of these shards are an absolute waste. Don't do it. If you're somebody who says you don't ever have plates, Prizewalls like this, where free-to-play players get 10,000 plus currency and have a chance to get something good are really rare. So keep that in mind. The shards will be there forever, but how often does a good play chance roll around? Hopefully you found this video helpful. I'm not trying to criticize anyone. I'm just trying to help. And again, at the end of the day, remember, no matter what I say, it's your roster. You know it better than me. Hope this helps. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and share, because that actually really helps me out. Other than that, guys, thanks for watching. Good luck out there. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Hope that was okay.